When it comes to love and relationships, people often think the key to keeping someone's attention is to give more, do more, and always be there. But the truth is, love doesn't grow in constant presence. It grows in space, in absence, in those moments when someone realizes just how much they miss what they don't have. That's the paradox most people overlook. A man doesn't start missing you when you're always available. He starts missing you when he feels the gap, when he notices the silence, and when he realizes that your presence is no longer something he can take for granted. Think about the last time you truly missed someone. It wasn't while they were next to you, giving you constant attention. It was in the quiet, when they weren't around, when your mind replayed their laughter, their touch, their energy. Missing someone is a byproduct of distance, not closeness. And this is exactly what most people get wrong in relationships. They think closeness will guarantee attachment, when in fact, space often deepens it. Men, in particular, respond strongly to this dynamic. A man can enjoy attention, affection, and closeness, but he doesn't miss it until it's gone. He doesn't appreciate the depth of a woman's value until he feels the sting of not having her as easily as before. That doesn't mean playing childish games. It means understanding the psychology of attraction. It's about showing him, through your actions, that your world doesn't revolve around him and that your energy is a gift, not a guarantee. Now, this doesn't mean withholding love or being manipulative. The difference between manipulation and confidence is intent. Manipulation tries to control someone else. Confidence simply honors yourself. When you decide to step back, to focus on your own life, to stop overgiving, and to create space, you're not playing games, you're creating balance. That balance is what makes a man realize that your presence is precious. Too many women fall into the trap of thinking that being constantly available will secure love. They reply instantly to every message, cancel their plans whenever he calls, and rearrange their life just to make space for him. At first, this may feel good to him. It flatters his ego. But over time, it removes the challenge, the mystery, and the sense of value. And the truth is, humans don't value what they can always have on demand. We value what feels rare, special, and meaningful. This is why missing you is not created when you do more. It's created when you do less, but with intention. When you stop over-explaining, over-texting, or over-committing, you naturally create an emotional vacuum. That space allows a man to sit with his own thoughts, his own feelings, and his own desire, and in that silence, he starts remembering the little things about you, the way you smile, the way you make him laugh, the way you carry yourself with quiet confidence. When you fill all the space, there's no room for longing. But when you step back, he has the chance to chase, to appreciate, and to feel that emotional pull toward you. And this is where the dynamic shifts, because now it's not about you proving yourself to him. It's about him proving himself to you. Missing someone is an active state. It means he feels the gap and he wants to bridge it. So what makes a man start missing you more? It's not the effort you pour endlessly into him. It's the balance you create by remembering your worth. It's the strength to step back and let him experience the silence. It's the discipline to focus on your life, your passions, your goals, so that you are never waiting around for his attention. When you do this, you transform from being predictable and always available into someone unforgettable. The truth is, men don't fall deeply in love with the woman who sacrifices everything for them. They fall deeply in love with the woman who has her own life, her own standards, and her own energy that cannot be taken for granted. That's the woman who leaves a mark in his mind and in his heart. That's the woman he thinks about late at night when he's alone. That's the woman he starts to miss more with every passing day. This is what we're diving into today, 7 powerful reminders that will show you how and why men start missing you more. These are not tricks or games, they're principles rooted in self-respect, confidence, and emotional intelligence. When you remember these 7 things, you'll stop chasing, stop over giving, and instead, you'll watch as he naturally begins to chase you, miss you, and value you more than ever before. When a man first meets you, he may be captivated by your looks, your personality, or the way you make him feel. But as time goes on, What determines whether he continues to value you and miss you when you're not around is not simply how much you give, but how scarce and special your presence feels. Scarcity is one of the most powerful forces in human psychology. People place more value on what they believe is rare, limited, or not easily replaceable. If your attention, time, and energy are always available on demand, there is no reason for him to long for it. It's only when your presence becomes less predictable, when you're not constantly there to feed his ego or entertain his world, that he starts to recognize how much he enjoys you and how deeply he misses you when you're not there. Think about it in everyday life. Imagine something as simple as your favorite meal or dessert. If you had it every single day, without pause, it wouldn't feel as exciting. But if it's something you only get once in a while, something you have to wait for, then suddenly the anticipation builds. The moment you finally get it, you savor it more. That's the same effect scarcity creates in relationships. When you're always available, a man gets used to you. But when you are selective with your time, when you keep parts of your life for yourself, he feels a sense of loss in your absence, and that's when the missing begins. This doesn't mean withdrawing affection or playing games. It means recognizing your value and not giving it away endlessly. Men, like anyone else, can easily start to take for granted what's always there. If he knows you'll drop everything for him, answer every call within seconds, or change your plans just to accommodate him, he doesn't get the chance to truly appreciate you. But when you continue living your life, seeing friends, pursuing passions, setting boundaries, your energy doesn't become something he assumes will always be within reach. Instead, it becomes something he notices when it's gone. Scarcity is powerful because it creates contrast. If he hears from you constantly, silence means nothing. But if you don't always fill his phone with texts or constantly ask what he's doing, those quiet moments begin to echo. He starts to think about you more. He wonders what you're doing, who you're with, why you're not reaching out. That small spark of curiosity is what builds into longing. The absence of your constant presence creates space for him to reflect on how much you actually mean to him. The beauty of scarcity is that it shifts the dynamic. Instead of you constantly trying to remind him of your worth, he reminds himself. When your time is rare, he values it. When your attention isn't always there, he seeks it out. And when you're not always easy to access, he realizes how much he misses the connection, laughter, and intimacy you bring into his life. This doesn't happen when you're always in front of him. It happens when there's a pause, a gap, a space where he has no choice but to feel your absence. It's important to understand that scarcity isn't about withholding who you are, it's about balance. You can still show affection, still enjoy moments together, but you also maintain a sense of independence. You keep parts of your life that are yours alone, and you don't abandon them just because a man has entered the picture. That independence, that scarcity of attention makes every interaction with you feel more meaningful. He doesn't just see you as someone who will always be there no matter what. He sees you as someone he could lose if he doesn't step up. And that thought alone fuels his desire to hold on to you more tightly. When you embrace scarcity, you naturally become more attractive. Your energy is magnetic because you're not chasing, you're not over-investing, you're living your life fully. And that creates a sense of mystery. He doesn't always know what you're doing or what you're thinking, and that curiosity drives him to pursue you more. Scarcity keeps him engaged, not because you're dangling yourself like a prize, but because you're showing him through your actions that you are the prize, and not everyone gets unlimited access to you. Scarcity also prevents burnout in relationships. When one person is always giving, always pouring, and the other is always receiving, the balance breaks down. The giver feels drained and the receiver feels complacent. But when you pull back and allow your time and energy to be rare, it resets the balance. It puts him in a position where he has to give more, chase more, and invest more, which deepens his feelings of attachment. At the core of it, men miss what they cannot easily have. They don't miss the woman who's always waiting by the phone. They miss the woman who's busy, fulfilled, and living her life regardless of whether he calls or not. They miss the woman whose presence feels like a privilege, not a guarantee. And the best part is, you don't have to pretend or play tricks to create this effect. All you have to do is respect yourself enough to not overextend, to not constantly be at his disposal, and to continue nurturing your own life outside of him. When you make your time and energy scarce, you'll notice the shift. He'll start reaching out more. He'll start making plans instead of leaving things vague. He'll start putting effort into winning back the access he once took for granted. And most importantly, he'll start missing you, not because you forced him to, but because he realizes what life feels like without you always being there. That's when he understands your true value. One of the most overlooked elements of attraction is mystery. People often believe that if they want to be close to someone, they should tell them everything, reveal every detail, and never leave any questions unanswered. While honesty and openness are important, mystery is what keeps desire alive. When a man feels like he knows everything about you too soon, there's no space for his curiosity to grow. Desire is fueled not by complete certainty, but by the little unknowns, the parts of you that he can't quite figure out, the aspects of your life that aren't always on display. This is not about playing games. It's about understanding that attraction thrives when there's room for imagination. Think of the moments when you've been drawn to someone in your own life. Chances are, part of the pull was the fact that there were things you didn't know about them yet. The way they smiled without explaining why, the way they carried themselves with quiet confidence, the way they seemed happy and fulfilled without needing validation. It all created a sense of intrigue. You wanted to know more. That's the same feeling you want to create in a man if you want him to miss you deeply. If he can't quite predict your every move or know every thought you're going to say before you say it, his curiosity stays alive. Mystery is powerful because it gives a man's mind something to chase. When you reveal everything immediately, you remove the space for him to wonder, to imagine, to ask questions. But when you pace your energy, when you allow him to see glimpses of who you are instead of the entire picture all at once, he leans in more. He listens more carefully, he pays more attention, and he invests more of himself trying to understand you. The beauty of mystery is that it keeps the dynamic active. He is never complacent because there is always something about you that feels fresh and worth discovering. This doesn't mean being distant or secretive for the sake of it. It simply means you don't need to lay your whole life story on the table from the very beginning. You don't have to explain your every move, your every thought, or your every plan. You can share in layers over time and allow him to earn the privilege of knowing more about you. That process builds respect, and respect fuels desire. A man will miss the woman who doesn't overwhelm him with constant updates, but instead leaves little moments of curiosity that make him think about her when she's not around. Another key aspect of mystery is the way you carry yourself. A woman who has her own life, her own ambitions, and her own joy radiates an energy that says, "I'm fulfilled even when I'm not with you." That kind of independence naturally creates mystery because he wonders, what makes her so confident? What makes her so happy when I'm not even involved? That wondering is what pulls him towards you. If every emotion you feel and every moment you live depends on him, there's nothing left for him to discover. But if your happiness is self-sustained, if your world is full outside of him, he feels compelled to step into it and experience more of it. Mystery also lives in how you communicate. Instead of always rushing to respond or over-explaining yourself, sometimes the most attractive thing you can do is simply be calm, composed, and say less. Silence can be just as powerful as words. A man doesn't need every detail to feel connected. Sometimes the fact that you don't give everything away keeps him thinking about you long after the conversation has ended. He replays what you said, wonders what you meant, and feels drawn to seek more of your attention to satisfy that curiosity. The absence of mystery leads to predictability, and predictability often kills attraction. If he always knows what you're going to say, how you're going to react, or what you're doing at every moment, he doesn't have to think about you when you're gone. But when you maintain your individuality, your boundaries, and your own rhythm of life, you become less predictable and therefore more unforgettable. That unpredictability isn't chaos, it's charm. It keeps the energy between you alive and dynamic. When you embrace mystery, you'll notice how differently a man treats you. Instead of seeing you as someone he can easily categorize, he'll see you as someone unique, someone layered, someone who captures his imagination. He'll look forward to your conversations, not because they're constant, but because they're meaningful. He'll miss you in your absence because he knows there are parts of you he hasn't yet discovered, and that thought alone will make him eager to come closer. The important thing to remember is that mystery is not about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about allowing your true self to unfold naturally over time without rushing the process. It's about knowing that you are complex, layered, and worthy of being discovered slowly. It's about trusting that a man will invest more deeply when he has to work to earn your story rather than having it handed to him all at once. Men miss the woman who leaves something behind for them to think about, who doesn't give everything away, who maintains an air of independence and depth. They miss the woman whose presence feels exciting not because she's distant, but because she's real, confident, and not easily defined. Mystery makes you unforgettable, and it's that very quality that will keep him thinking of you long after you've walked out of the room. One of the most magnetic qualities a person can have is the ability to focus on themselves in a healthy, empowered way. When you shift your energy from constantly giving, chasing, or worrying about what someone else thinks, and instead pour that energy into your own growth, your own happiness, and your own passions, you become irresistible. This is not because you're trying to attract someone by ignoring them, but because self-focused energy creates a natural pull. A man is drawn to a woman who is centered, fulfilled, and vibrant in her own world. He misses her more when he realizes that her life is not waiting on him, but moving forward with or without him. Too often, people fall into the trap of making a relationship the center of their universe. They abandon their hobbies, stop spending time with friends, or put their personal goals on hold just to revolve around a partner. While the intention may come from love, the result is often the opposite of what they want. Instead of deepening attraction, it lessens it. When someone gives up too much of themselves, they stop being the very person their partner was drawn to in the first place. Men do not miss what feels overly available or dependent. They miss what feels rare, alive, and independent. Self-focused energy is powerful because it communicates value without words. A woman who invests in herself sends the message, I am worth pursuing because I already pursue myself. When a man sees that your life is full, whether through your career, your passions, your friendships, or your personal growth, he begins to feel that being with you is an addition to your life, not the definition of it. That creates respect. And with respect comes longing, because he realizes that your attention and time are not things he can take lightly. There's also an undeniable confidence that comes with focusing on yourself. Confidence doesn't come from chasing validation from someone else. It comes from knowing who you are and nurturing your own sense of fulfillment. When you are busy creating, learning, and enjoying your life, your energy shifts. You become more radiant, more attractive, and more grounded. That energy is what people are drawn to. Men feel it deeply because it stands out in a world where many people give themselves away too easily. When your focus is on your own life, he doesn't feel smothered, he feels intrigued because your energy makes him want to step closer and be part of it. Another reason self-focused energy is magnetic is because it creates balance in a relationship. Love is not meant to be one person pouring endlessly into another. It thrives when both people have their own foundation and then bring that fullness into the relationship. When you take time to focus on your health, your dreams, and your happiness, you are not only improving your life, but also strengthening the relationship. It prevents resentment because you are not giving from an empty cup, and it prevents dependency because you are not looking to him for your entire sense of identity. That independence is what makes him miss you when you're not around. He knows you are strong and complete, and that makes your presence even more valuable. Self-focus also creates space for him to invest in you. When you stop centering your every action around him, he naturally feels the pull to step up. He begins to ask about your life, your plans, your goals, because he realizes they exist outside of him. That curiosity builds connection. And when he sees that you are not waiting by the phone, but living a life worth talking about, he is far more likely to want to be part of it. He will miss you not only when you're gone, but even when you're in the same room, because he'll crave the energy you bring from your independence. It's important to understand that self-focused energy is not selfishness. Selfishness says, I only care about me. Self-focus says, I care for myself so I can bring the best version of me into everything else. It's a form of self-respect, a declaration that your life matters and that you will not abandon it for anyone. That kind of energy is inspiring to a man because it shows him that you are not only capable of love, but also capable of living fully without needing someone to complete you. And it is often in that space where he sees that you are whole, that he realizes how much he wants to be part of your world. Men don't miss someone who is always chasing them. They miss the woman who is out there building her life, enjoying herself, and radiating confidence. They think about her when she's not around because they know she's doing something exciting, meaningful, or fulfilling, and they want to be included in that story. They regret when they don't invest because they know she is not waiting, she is moving forward. That realization alone creates longing. When you put yourself first, you change the energy dynamic entirely. You stop being the one who constantly gives and becomes drained, and instead become the one who inspires and uplifts simply by being centered in your own life. That's the kind of woman who is unforgettable, who lingers in a man's mind, who leaves a space that he wants to fill when she's gone. Self-focused energy doesn't repel love, it amplifies it because it draws people toward you naturally without you having to force it. And the more you cultivate it, the more you'll notice that he doesn't just like being around you, he starts to miss you when you're not there, because your energy is rare and magnetic. Boundaries are one of the most powerful ways to increase your value in the eyes of a man, and they are also one of the hardest things to maintain if you've been conditioned to believe that love means giving endlessly. The truth is, love without boundaries quickly turns into imbalance. When you don't protect your time, energy, and emotions, you make it easy for someone to take you for granted. But when you set clear boundaries and stick to them, you teach a man exactly how to treat you. Boundaries create respect, and respect is the foundation of desire. A man doesn't deeply miss the woman who allows everything. He misses the woman who shows him, through her actions, that she values herself enough to say no when necessary. A boundary is not a wall. It's a filter. It doesn't keep love out, but it ensures that only the kind of love that honors you gets in. Too often, people confuse boundaries with being cold or distant, but in reality, they are the opposite. Boundaries are an act of self-love, and self-love is what makes you magnetic. When a man sees that you will not tolerate being disrespected, ignored, or undervalued, it forces him to step up or step out. Either way, you win, because you are no longer investing your time in someone who doesn't treat you the way you deserve. Men crave respect just like women do, but they also give respect to those who command it. When you show a man that you won't settle for inconsistency, broken promises, or half-hearted effort, he starts to see you differently. You are no longer just another option, you become the standard. That kind of woman is unforgettable, and when she's not around, he feels the difference. He feels the gap because your presence came with value, and your absence makes him realize how much that value meant. Boundaries also prevent overgiving. One of the biggest mistakes people make in relationships is trying to prove their worth by giving more and more. They overextend themselves, hoping the other person will finally recognize their value. But instead of creating appreciation, it often leads to entitlement. A man gets used to taking without giving back because there's no limit. When you set a boundary, you stop that cycle. You say, I will give, but only within reason. I will show up, but not at the cost of my self-respect. That kind of strength is attractive because it shows you are not afraid to walk away if your needs aren't met. There's also an emotional element to boundaries. When you don't set them, you often carry resentment. You say yes when you want to say no. You accept behavior that hurts you, and over time, your energy becomes heavy and frustrated. But when you enforce boundaries, you keep your emotions lighter because you're honoring yourself. That lightness is what draws people in. Men miss the woman who knows her worth because her presence feels uplifting, not drained. They remember her not only for her kindness, but also for the strength behind it. Setting boundaries doesn't mean you're inflexible, it means you're intentional. For example, you may have a boundary around communication. You won't tolerate being ghosted and then expected to respond instantly when he resurfaces. Or you may have a boundary around effort. You won't keep planning dates or making time if he doesn't reciprocate. These boundaries communicate silently that your energy is valuable. And the moment he experiences life without your presence, he realizes how much he misses that energy because it wasn't something he could take without earning. Another reason boundaries increase your value is because they create contrast. If you always say yes, there's no difference between your presence and your absence. But when you say no sometimes, when you hold back until effort is shown, it highlights the moments when you do say yes. Your love, your time, and your attention become more meaningful. He starts to notice the effort you make because it's not given without thought. That contrast makes him appreciate you more, and it also makes him miss you more when you're not around. The beauty of boundaries is that they attract the right kind of man while repelling the wrong kind. A man who wants to take advantage of you will walk away when faced with strong boundaries, but that's not a loss, it's protection. A man who is serious about you, who values you, will rise to meet those boundaries because he understands that they come from a place of self-respect. And when you step back because he's crossed a line, he will feel it. He will miss your presence because it's tied to respect, and without it, he knows he has lost something rare. Men don't long for the woman who gives endlessly without question. They long for the woman who gave with heart, but also demanded respect. They miss the woman who showed them joy, but also held them accountable. They regret losing the woman who had standards because those standards made her stand out. Boundaries are what separate you from being replaceable to being unforgettable. In the end, boundaries are about alignment. They align you with the kind of relationship you truly want, and they align the man with the realization that if he wants to keep you, he has to rise to your level. And when you do step back, when you create distance because a boundary has been crossed, that's when he feels it the most. That's when he starts to miss you, not just because of the affection you gave, but because of the strength you carried. And that combination, kindness with boundaries, is what makes a man not only miss you, but respect and love you more deeply. At the end of the day, love isn't just about attraction, it's about connection, respect, and the choices we make to honor ourselves. When you understand these principles and live by them, you don't have to chase love, it naturally finds its way to you. And if you're ready to keep growing, to keep learning, and to become the best version of yourself in love and in life, then make sure you don't miss out on what's coming next. If you found value in this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Sell Magnetism, because every week I bring you insights that will transform the way you see relationships and yourself. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a moment of inspiration. Your journey doesn't stop here, and I'd love to walk it with you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being part of this community, and remember, you are worthy of love that sees your value, respects your boundaries, and never takes you for granted. I'll see you in the next video.